meine Lieben, herzlich willkommen bei der Grayskull auf der Bühne heute zum Mondo-Panel. Ja? Und bevor wir anfangen mit unseren zwei Gästen, das wird so eine Mischung aus Deutsch und Englisch oder Denglisch sein, mal gucken, wie wir es hinkriegen. Ja? Bevor wir anfangen, möchte ich, dass ihr mal einen richtig, richtig fetten Applaus für unsere Gäste, Hector und Florian von Mondo. Applaus. Okay, we sent you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Florian, du auch?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastisch. So, warm welcome to Grayskull 2023. We talk about your work and the main thing about what we nochmal. Ach, guck mal, ich bin so aufgeregt, Leute. Also, kurz auf Deutsch. Wir sprechen heute darüber, wie eine Mondo-Figur entsteht, von der Idee bis zum fertigen Produkt wie Panther oder Battlecat. Ich würde sagen, before we start, please say something about you, Hector. Where are you? What's your name? How old are you? And what do you do at Mondo?
Hello, I'm Hector. I'm the Senior Creative Director here at Mondo for the Toys and Collectibles Department. I live in California and I'm 38 years old.
Okay, und Florian, der macht das Ganze auf Deutsch. Sag auch noch mal ein bisschen was zu dir.
Hallo, mein Name ist Florian Bergmann. Ich komme ursprünglich aus Münster. Ich lebe auch in Kalifornien seit fast 10 Jahren. Ich mache seit 2018, seit Anfang der Line, das komplette Boxart für die MotU-Serie. Ich bin 45 Jahre alt, nicht ganz so jung wie Hector, aber naja.
Genau, und Florian ist auch noch für das Design vom Trapjaw verantwortlich, richtig?
Ja, genau. Trapjaw, Nightmare.
Genau. Nightmare ist das Pferd, was auf der PowerCon, ne? Auf der PowerCon habt ihr das. Genau. Also das Pferd für Scarecrow, ja, was dann auch kommen wird. So, Hector, we want. Huh?
I was going to say, Hector is looking a little bit confused. He's like, what the heck, are they going to talk German the entire time?
I need you to say, yeah.
Okay, Hector.
You gotta help me out here.
I will, don't worry.
Okay, Hector, we want to talk about the work from the idea of a Mondo figure, yeah, about the concepts, the design concepts, the prototypes, to the final product. So, how long you need to make from the first idea to the final product? How long it takes?
Oh boy, it takes some time. I also have, if you want, I can share my screen and I can kind of show you how we break down.
Yes, I give you the permissions.
Yes.
So now you can do it.
Okay. 1 second. Let me share my screen.
By the way, Hector, that Gundam behind you is
That.
Oh, Macross. Yeah, I know.
It's Macross.
I know.
No, you're good. Let me see here. We can talk about the making of Skeletor if you want, real quick. I do have a presentation here.
Yes, please.
So basically, to answer your question, yeah. So this is kind of how we start, right? And we start with concept art. Whether we work with, sometimes we work with Florian here to do concept art. Sometimes we work with Emiliano. Well, yeah, we work with Emiliano quite a bit too. Emiliano Santa Lucia, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Is that correct, Florian? Do you know?
I believe you're correct. Yes.
We start with the illustration, right? And basically, the illustrator, whether it's Florian or Emiliano, will send me their rough ideas, and then I'll go back and then I'll look at it and I'll make some changes here and there, and it just it's a back and forth. And this usually takes about a few weeks until we get to the final design that we're all happy with, which is kind of what you see here on the right. And then basically we go from that to sculpting, right? And we bring in our sculptor, who usually is here working at Mondo, or sometimes we bring out an external artist. And we use the concept art to sculpt this. And basically the sculpting can take a long time. Sculpting can take from 1 month to 2 to 3. For Battle Cat, it was 6 months. 6 months to sculpt Battle Cat just because of how difficult and intricate it was, especially when you're doing all of the articulation.
So it's trial and error, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's a lot of just back and forth. There's a lot of fixing little things here and there. We put a lot of care and detail into every single sculpt, and we don't send it to production until we're 100% happy with it, and that sometimes takes a long time. But you can kind of see here in this next panel how many pieces go into one of our figures. And that is a breakdown of just Skeletor. It's like over 50, 60 parts, individual parts that are created just so that Skeletor for this, this is for Skeletor Deluxe that just came out a couple months ago. This is how many parts went into making Skeletor. And here doesn't even completely break it down, because if you were to break down almost every other little part that we had, it would be maybe 100 pieces. So, yeah, and then once it goes to production and engineering, we go into painting, and we will either hire a painter or maybe I will paint the stuff myself. And you can kind of just see here a little bit of the process of, behind the scenes, the painter painting Skeletor and the Alcala head. And then after that, we usually reach out to Florian. And then Florian, you can speak to this. This is like Florian does all the box art for all of our figures. So this is the one he did for Skeletor.
Yeah, so I'm usually the last person in the chain, and usually it goes like, yeah, we need it in like 2 weeks, right? Is that fair to say? And I'm like,
sometimes.
Yeah, and usually he'll send me, every photo they have, sculpts or even concept art. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Hector, because by the time I get to do the art, usually you don't have any toys to send to me to use as reference, right?
Yeah, because usually by the time Florian gets brought in to do the packaging art, we're already in production. So that means that the figures are either in tooling or they're being made or whatever, they're at the factory. So I don't usually have full samples to send him. So he usually bases his art off of the sculpts, like the pictures I just showed you, or the concept art that Emiliano sent, but then Florian adds his own kind of spin to it.
Yeah, so what I usually try to do is pay homage to, the old comics. The images that we're all familiar with. Like you'll notice, the Skeletor and the centerpiece here is obviously taken from the Terra Claus mini comic, and I even included the little Spikor in the corner. These are all nods to the mini comic. But my attempt is to update it a little bit, but staying true to the original. I believe even the pose of Skeletor with Dragon Blaster is inspired by the vintage, I want to say it's a William George painting, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's pretty much how my thought process starts. We want to do our own thing, but we're still tied to what was done before.
Yeah, I think with these figures, what we want to do is make them feel. We want to represent that we know the product, that we know the history of Motu, right? And Florian's a huge expert, so I love when he includes all of these little nods to the mini comics, to just the history of Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see it, but some of these take a long time. Even the Skeletor piece in the center is just so much cross hatching, and the fact that there's so much detail in the figures makes it easy for me to, put more to these drawings than sometimes usually would,
Yeah, exactly.
Florian, did you? I have a question. Did you make only the black and white drawing, or did you make the coloring too of the artworks?
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the black and white on the left here is his initial sketch, kind of like his idea, what he's thinking he wants the front of the box to look like, and he'll send me sometimes a couple different ones, and then we kind of just pick, what's the best, and then from there before he gets into all this beautiful, amazing detail that you see on the right and all the coloring that he does so well. I usually want to approve it in the stage on the right, which is black and white, before we take it too far.
Yeah, that's probably also interesting for people to know, because like the sketch you see on the left, you guys have to send it to Mattel, and Mattel take a look at it, going, I don't know about that, or they want something changed, but they've done nothing but cool. So they've never really had problems. But you know, you have to send it over, and they have to okay it, then I start out with the line art, color, everything. Which adds to these figures taking so long sometimes, because there's so many people involved step by step. You know?
Yeah, we can easily work with maybe 5, 6 different artists before the figure reaches completion.
It does, like how many steps do you have to approve with Mattel? Like I'm assuming like the sculpting gets approved, then the paint job gets approved, right?
Everything, every step Mattel has to approve. So the concept has to be approved, then the sculpt has to be approved, then the paint, then the picture of the actual figure needs to get approved, and then your box art needs to get approved, and then it's many steps of approvals before we can call it finished, and it goes to the production line, and they make however many they're gonna make.
Awesome. The sculpting, is this only digital, or did you sculpt in clay too?
The sculpting, 99% of the time is digital. It used to be all traditional sculpting, but the toy industry as a whole has completely gone away from traditional sculpting. Unfortunately, I'm a traditional sculptor. I started as a traditional sculptor in my career, and there were so many talented, amazing, traditional sculptors out there. But most of them have had to change and transition to ZBrush or some other type of 3D program, because it's just it's just so much faster to do it in ZBrush, and the ability to be able to make changes whenever you want, especially when it comes to me, where I'm always tweaking little things here and there. Whenever our sculptor turns something in, it's a very back and forth process. If it was in clay, it would be very difficult to say. For example, if I said, oh, I think Skeletor's head is too big, it just looks too big. In traditional sculpting, they would have to redo the whole head in order to do that. Whereas in ZBrush, it's just a little tool that just shrinks it down, and we're done. Right, very easy. So yeah, I think the whole industry's moved away from traditional sculpting.
Yes. Digital sculpting is more comfortable and effective than the traditional way.
Yeah.
Okay. So if every step are approved by Mattel, you produce the first test shots. Is this right?
Yes.
Okay. How long did this step need?
The test shots? Yeah,
Yes.
the final piece really is just the test shots don't take that long. I mean, production can be anywhere from 4 to 6 months. It could be up to a half a year. BattleCat took half a year for production to fully ramp up and get to a good point where we were able to approve everything. Because when you get test shots and we get them, many times, a joint isn't working properly, or the paint doesn't look quite right in the test shot, or so there's a lot of little things that have to go in it, because it's one thing when it's in digital compared to when it's actually in hand, and when you're holding it, and then you start to realize, oh man, like that joint that we thought was going to work isn't working necessarily that good. So I need to tell the factory, you need to adjust this and this. Then it comes back and forth, and then the final one kind of goes to Mattel, and they have to approve it.
You show us the product pictures from Raul Guerrero. These are the final products, or are these prototypes?
So Raul gets probably basically the final test shot. So he will get the final product right before, it's the one that I approved to go to production. So it's essentially the final product, right? So Raul usually gets those. Sometimes, depending on time, he may get an earlier test shot, but it's 100% like the final, for most of the part, I mean most of the time, it's the final piece that he's photographing. Because we don't like to photograph with renders, or we don't like doing renders or any of that kind of stuff, because it just doesn't look right for us, and it doesn't portray the figure in the way that it should be portrayed. Especially with the fabric that we do, like Skeletor's cape here, you know, it has wire inside of it, so you can bend it and move it and shape it however you want. And the photography really captures that, right? And then Raul's photography is amazing every single time, and he, again, is a huge fan. He builds this snake mountain for us. That's like 5 feet tall. It's, you know, the size, it's the little, you know, almost as big as, you know, big, well, I'm bigger, but almost bigger than me. But it's just like, or as big as me, but it's one of those things where he is such a big fan, and we always love doing the product photography with him.
I can't so bonkers, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I can remember at the beginning of the line, yeah, and the product pictures at the start of the line, they are so simple and so, could I say bad?
They were
and now we get a lot of art in Raul's photography.
Yes,
awesome.
I'm glad that you bring that up, and I'm glad that you noticed that. We talk about that ourselves a lot, but it's like, I wonder if people notice the difference from when it used to be early on in the beginning of the line, right? And how simple and straightforward the photography was, and yeah, maybe you could say it was bad. To what Raul does, which is he creates entire worlds, and it's all cinematic and beautiful, and it just puts our figures in such a amazing way that we, you know, just it makes your imagination just kind of go wild with what the potential is of the figures and the way he's able to pose them. They look. It really shows you what the figures can do, as opposed to just a standard, just like here it is standing in front of like a rock kind of thing. He poses them in such a way that makes you want to play with it.
So we get a lot of beautiful pictures. Did you think about the art book from Mondo?
An art book? Yes, we talked about it a lot. It's just, we just haven't had time to get to it, but it is something we want to do. I would love to do a Art of Toys book, so that show off everything that you know we've done over the last couple of years.
I will buy it. Hat irgendjemand Fragen erstmal von dem, was wir schon gesehen haben? So I ask for questions. Keine Fragen?
Nicht zu dem, was wir schon gesehen haben.
Nicht zu dem, was wir schon gesehen haben. Okay. In the past, we have some issues with the He-Man figure, you know, and in Germany it was very difficult to talk about this issue. What do you think about how can it be that the torso are so loose? What was the error in the production?
Yeah, it was just, you know, we had, you know, it was an unfortunate thing that we didn't expect to happen. It was something that we've been, so I don't know if people know, but we use, just like the original He-Man figures, we use the same body for a lot of these figures, right? We reuse the same body, it's the same tooling, and something that we've done over the last many years. That body's been around for 10, almost, what, 7 years? How old is the line? Or
it's like 2018.
Right, so it's been a long time. So we've been using that body for many years, and there's never been a major issue with it. It just so happened that it happened during He-Man, and it was just an unfortunate thing. It was basically there was a small issue in manufacturing where they didn't glue the belt on correctly, and so a handful of these had the issue where the waist was just falling off. And the problem was that it wasn't necessarily broken, it was just that the belt was a millimeter too high. And so because the belt was too high, the peg then was too short. So they just assembled it and put it in, and then it is what it is. And unfortunately, that became a problem. But I think what's great, what shows that Mondo really cares about its fans and is that anyone who had this issue, for the most part, anyone if you reached out to Mondo and you let us know wherever you were, we replaced your body. So we've replaced quite a few for people who had the issue. So it's one of those things where we really care. We want to take care of everybody. So we did something that no company has ever done, which was give out free bodies to anyone who may have had a problem.
Okay. I would say thank you for all collectors that you make this very good replacement job. So this, I think it's a very good step. Thank you.
Do you guys, what do you want to see some sneak peeks at other figures?
Yes, please. So we are here.
Do you want to see every, or do you want to see just Masters or
Masters, please. First Masters.
Only Masters. Okay, so obviously we have Antwort, right, which is a figure you have there on display.
Yes.
And we're very excited about Antwort. This figure will come out in November. It will be a timed edition, just like the Battle Cat was. And we're very excited. I think Antwort, I like Antwort more, and I like how he turned out. I don't know what you think for him, but
yeah. I mean, I got my Battle Cat yesterday, so I'm still shocked by how insane this thing is. Like, that thing is literally almost the size of my shoe. I put it next to my dog, and my dog was just like,
I received Panther at Thursday at and I opened it to check it if everything is okay. And every time if I unbox a Mondo figure, my whole body filled with joy. But if I unbox this figure, this Panther, my whole body filled with joy and pure love. This is such an amazing figure. It's outstanding and it's an absolute masterpiece. I write you, it's God level. This is awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The coolest part about it is the horns and this horn head, and you have the other heads there, right? Where we designed a brand new head for Panther that has saber-tooth teeth, and that's what's cool about Mattel is they've let us redesign these characters, and they've let us do new things to them that aren't part of the canon or history, but now it's kind of part of Mondo Masters of the Universe history, right? So we're very excited about Panther. So yeah, he comes out in this November, yeah, super stoked. We have another figure coming out. Did you have any more questions on Panther?
Irgendwelche Fragen zum Panther?
Kommt der beflockte gleichzeitig?
Ja.
The flock version of
comes the flock version of Panther the same time as this regular version?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Is the flock version going to be released at the same time as the 10th edition?
No, so we were originally planning that, and so we decided that it would be better for collectors and their wallets. And if we
Thank you.
we kept the releases separate, and we didn't have people having to be really stressed out or have anxiety over trying to get the limited edition Panther or the Flock limited edition, and then this one or whatever. So, the limited edition Flock version will be out early next year, and this will be out in November for 10 days. It'll be a 10-day time edition. So you'll have 10 days, and then you have a long break before you have before you get the flock panther. So we decided to keep them separate this time.
Thank you. Could you tell us how much the panther costs? It's the same price like the battle cat?
No, it'll be less. It'll be less than battle cat. I don't know the exact price yet, but it will be less than that. It'll be less than $500.
Wow. Any questions?
Release date.
Release date? Panther? November.
Yeah, it'll be like second or third, second week of November. Not quite sure on the exact date yet, but it'll be in November. We'll
Shipping date. He wants to know when you will ship the panther.
Oh, okay. So we are going to do something interesting this time around, and we will put this on the website and make sure everybody knows. But we will be shipping in waves. So the first wave of shipments for Panther will be in like 3 weeks after you order it.
Wow.
And then the other wave will be at the beginning of next year, and sometime in January or February. So it will ship very quickly.
Wow.
It will be time, everyone will be able to get a figure, there will be no problem, as long as you order it within the time period, right? Within the 10 days that it's available. And it'll just ship in a little bit some ways. So some folks may get theirs very soon, some other ones, they will be notified if they are part of the second wave of shipments, and that will be shipped in January, around January, February.
Awesome. Cool. Next question. Yeah.
Can we hope for any other Princess of Power characters apart from She-Ra, or aren't you allowed to tell us so?
That's the answer.
That's an answer.
No, I would love to do more Princess of Power, for sure. Florian, we talked about that, right? You were giving me ideas. What would you pick, Florian, if it was your choice?
I would probably start with a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
We've done the bad. Besides Hordak, right? I guess.
yeah, Hordak kind of overlaps between him and She-Ra.
He's gonna go. Yeah.
I don't know. It's rough. I mean,
I think Mondo-Modular will be awesome. And very good.
yeah, that'd be
That would be really cool.
20-inch tall.
We're doing something different too. We're introducing a new line of figures, which is going to be a soft vinyl designer line. And this is going to be a separate line from our 1/6 scale. But the first figure in this line that we're going to do is going to be a 15-inch jumbo, and this is big, soft vinyl Scareglow that will have an actual glow-in-the-dark skeleton on the inside of it. It will be based off the original figure, and it's basically an homage to the original Scareglow, just giant, and with, I think, for the first time, with an actual skeleton inside of its body.
So this is a translucent body?
It's translucent body, yes.
That's awesome.
The figure will be a translucent body that has a glow-in-the-dark the actual sculpted skeleton on the inside that will glow in the dark. I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait for people to see it with the bones on the inside, because it's just going to be, it's something cool. So yeah, it's an homage to the original Scareglow, and it will have a fabric cape. It'll come with the axe. It's going to come with one more head that we designed ourselves. And yeah, this is something really cool. So you can see here kind of how it's made. So on the right there, you can see what he looks like just as a skeleton. He's got a Scareglow. So you have the body, and the whole skeleton is on the inside. the figure.
And the articulation here, this figure is like the vintage figures, right?
Yep, just like the original.
Awesome.
Except I think the only thing that won't be moving will be that won't move much is the legs, just because for support reasons and because he has the skeleton on the inside. But yeah, the articulation is very similar to the original. So we're excited about that. This is hopefully the start of a new line of really big jumbo soft vinyl figures that we're going to be releasing, and just exploring the medium of soft vinyl that allows you to do a lot of interesting creative things. Like I think Roboto would be a lot of fun to do with a clear body, giant Roboto, clear body, or we were talking about King Hiss as a with the snakes on the inside of his body would be a lot of fun to do. We also have that's something new that we're going to be revealing later this year. Hopefully people can get a look at it if we go to any conventions in the fall or in the winter. But then yes, we have Tila. This is our Tila from in 1/6. This is still pretty early on. This image here doesn't have the articulation in it, other than like the one on the right has a little bit of it. But this is going to be our Tila. This is basically everything she comes with, we're pretty excited for Tila to finally make the rounds to our line. Besides Tila, we have Orko. And he's so cool, and it's the first time anyone's ever been allowed to do a Orko without a mask. So Mattel gave us their blessing. We were able to design it based off of many kind of appearances throughout, the history of Orko, and so he will have a swappable head where you can have him with his traditional head, a more Mondo designed head, and then a maskless head. And so, yeah.
The Orko cape, is this fabric or is it stuff?
The robe, so his sleeves and his robe are going to be all fabric. So he'll be all fabric, except for like the kind of like the vest area that you see there. That'll be like a soft, leathery kind of PVC. But it'll be all fabric for the most part. And then we have Evil Lynn. This is just some of it, but we're really excited, with Evil Lynn. Again, one of the original figures in the line, and she's finally making her way into this line. And she comes with Screech. That's
2-pack, the first Mondo 2-pack.
I don't know if it would be a 2-pack necessarily, but Screech is pretty big, so yeah, it'll be. We might mess with the scale of Screech a little bit, but he'll still be a pretty big bird. Something else that's exciting that we're doing is the Disco Skeletor. We're going to do a lot of fun. He's going to go ahead, Florence. Go ahead.
No, wasn't that idea born at PowerCon like 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, when we were there. So we were at We were at PowerCon a couple years ago, and we had someone in the audience ask us, "Are you going to make a Disco Skeletor?" And we were like, "Wait a minute, sure." And so because somebody asked us to do it, we're doing it back. And so, you can ask us anything, and we'll take it into consideration, and it'll become a toy. 2 troopers. 2 years later, 4 troopers? I know. 4 troopers is good.
Skeletons.
Skeletons, yeah. But Disco Skeletor will be limited edition. He'll be coming out sometime next year. Or maybe at the end of this year, I don't know. Something else I want to show is our Sky Sled. So we're going to go we'll be going into 1/6 scale vehicles, so this is going to be our first 1/6 scale vehicle for our Masters of the Universe line. We wanted to start small, not crazy big with it. But it's still going to be a big piece. But we're really excited to have this sort of new thing that you can, another awesome piece to display.
Can you say how big this vehicle would be?
It probably is maybe as big as Battle Cat, right? I mean, it has to be as big as Battle Cat in order for it to, probably, maybe not as long as Battle Cat and Panther is, but I would say pretty close in terms of like the whole proportions of it. It'll probably be pretty close to the size of Battle Cat.
A very interesting question from Jens.
That was not really a question, but
he wanted
we can talk about it.
We can talk about the interior playset from now
It'll be 5 feet tall and
It's an actual house.
I'm a huge interior playset fan, and I want this piece.
I think the last thing I have to share, and something we shared at PowerCon, and Florian can speak a lot to this, is Nightmare.
That's awesome.
But we can start here with the no armor. So Florian, we can maybe talk about how this came about. And Florian designed Nightmare. The idea here quickly was that we wanted to create something for Scared Love. Because we love Scared Love so much that we wanted him to ride something, and there was talks about maybe he can ride a scaredy cat or something like that. That's the Battle Cat, reuse Battle Cat tooling so that we thought that might be a little that's not as exciting as like him riding like a crazy horse, right? And there's other characters that have horses, right? So you can maybe guess what could be next after Nightmare. Florian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you already hinted what played a big part in this one. So this one, how do we start? I think we wanted to grab the horse, right? And I think early on my idea was, well, in the Revelation, he's kind of seen as the world. So his horse, must look accordingly. One idea I was going around in my head was, well, with the horse kind of have similar bone pattern on it, but I thought that would take away from Scared Love's uniqueness. The horse had the same glow in the dark bones on it. So I decided to kind of match the bone color, make it look like a very undead, ethereal horse. The idea with the flaming hoofs was that when the horse gets out of the underworld and touches the terrain ground, it's cursed, and whenever it touches the ground, it goes up in flames. That was like the initial idea behind it. And also the German word abonniere, which is a word for top, torches, was the idea behind it. Nightmare. And it's also a nice throwback to the original name of
the concept name from Night Stalker.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So it all kind of fell into place. I tried not to go over the top in terms of the evil look. I don't know. I tried to keep it as Mondo-Panel as possible. So instead of the glowing bones on the body, I figured, well, he still has to represent his master. That's why you see the bones around the neck and the belly, playing off of Scarecrow's look. A little bit of Night Stalker with the armor, the purple. That's pretty much where it started. And you see on the back, the circle above the hind legs. It's a reference to Scarecrow's symbol or sigil. I believe they used in the show. yeah, that's pretty much where I came from.
Yeah, and you know, it was a big question whether or not Mattel were going to allow us to do this. We kind of pitched it, and they were like, well, let's see what it looks like. We'll see. Okay. So you know, it took us a little bit. Florian and myself, we discussed it quite a bit, and there were many different sketch iterations, and we finally landed on here, and you know, it was approved. And it's now going to be, it's considered canonical. So it'll be part of the MotUlator canon. And it will be a brand new character that's never really existed before. So I think that's pretty exciting. I think it's very exciting that this is officially a new character that we will be introducing. And I love what Florian did, because you're right. I mean, it feels, it's not super exaggerated where it feels like it doesn't belong, but it almost feels like you can envision what the original toy would have looked like based off of this art, right? And that one might be a fun thing to do in the future, right? There's like, oh, let's do a stripped down version that looks like a retro version of Nightmare, right? That would be kind of neat. Yeah, the fact that we're able to do this is amazing, and a huge shout out to Mattel and everyone there who were down with us to explore a vision that we wanted to do, and it's really cool. And I can't wait for people to see it. The sculpt is in progress and it looks incredible. And of course, if you have Nightmare, you can't, you know, Scareglow is impossible to get right now, right? We have two versions that are basically impossible to get. Anymore, so we will be releasing a brand new Scareglow coming out with Nightmare, and it will be a brand new, never before seen Scareglow that will be timed edition so that everyone can get one. So, yeah.
So I have a question to this awesome, freaky horse. So we see here this beautiful Pantheon battle cat and how big they are. So how big would be this horse? So a horse is so much bigger than Tiger.
It'll be big. It'll be a big 1/6 scale horse. You know, it'll be quite an impressive piece. And I would say, did anyone see the pictures of Man-Bat from Comic-Con that we had the Man-Bat figure from Batman on display? I don't know if anyone saw those, but if you did, the wings give you an idea of how big the wings for this would be. Giant, probably close to 2 feet on each side.
Like this, right?
Yeah, here, I'll give you a visual. Here, let me stop sharing real quick. So, here. This is Man-Bat. I don't know if you can see this.
That's awesome.
But, you know, see how big these wings are? Yeah. Nightmare's wings might be just as big, if not bigger. So, it'll be a big piece.
Okay,
Oh, and I did want to show you, I did want to share one thing. So, you know, the Scareglow, the big Scareglow, that with soft vinyl. I have a prototype here. You can't see the bones yet. But you can see how big it's going to be. So I'll show you here. This is an early. This is how big Scareglow is going to be, the classic Scareglow. On the inside, it's going to be all his bones. You can't see it yet because it's a 3D print, and obviously it's not transparent. But I just wanted to share with you. You guys are getting the first look of how big this is going to be here at the show, and it's going to be massive. This is going to be a massive piece, and it's going to be a really cool statement piece, I think, to have in your collection.
Awesome. Okay, any questions?
Yeah. A few weeks ago, I read some news information on the internet, especially Instagram. So the question is, a Castle Grayskull, could it be? Or was it a fake or only a fan rush?
Castle Grayskull.
You're not getting out of that one.
Castle Grayskull would be very big if we did it. Right? Imagine, I don't know if everyone is familiar with the cast layer that Super 7 is releasing, right, for Thundercats. You know how big that is? It would be bigger.
Yeah.
If you did a 1/6 scale, Castle Grayskull, it would be almost like 2 feet taller than that.
Would the box come with divorce papers?
You have to present divorce papers right away because you're not getting out of that. We have talked about it a lot. We are exploring. We are making our way there. I guess that's the way to say it. We don't know if for sure we would ever release one, but we are trying to make our way there with things like Battle Hat, Nightmare, or maybe whatever horse She-Ra rides on, right? You all know. In that direction, which is, oh, here's a vehicle, something big. We are going to be, I can't talk about it too much yet, but we are going to be releasing something that is considered something you can put your figures on. And I think it'll be a big surprise when we reveal it. And then we have some crazy plans for not next year, but the year after for something pretty big, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Wow. Yeah, bitte. Next question.
Is there a chance for a sorcerer's figure? Sorcerer's Grayskull?
Yes, of course. I would love to do sorceress. Only if we do Castle Grayskull.
So I have a question. In Germany, we are huge fans of the real action movie. Did you plan real action movie figures from Mondo?
We talked about it a lot. It's a tricky one because of, I think the rights are a little weird with that movie. I love that movie. It's, Florian and I, we were able to go to a Mattel event a couple years ago. Was it a couple years ago? Last year?
Yeah, it was a 40-year anniversary party, right?
Yeah. And so Dolph Lundgren was there, and it was a really fun time. And rewatching that movie, I realized how much I love it. And it's a good time. And journey. And it's incredible. I would love to do an accurate sculpts to that movie. I know that there's been a lot of figures that have come out, but the portraits haven't been very accurate for our main hero, and that's something that I would like to get perfectly if we were to do it. But we've had the discussions before, and I don't think it's off the table for sure. So yeah, I would love to do it.
Any further questions?
Ja, ich wollte nur fragen, gibt es Chancen auf Re-Releases? Also Merman ist ja zum Beispiel auch schon ziemlich teuer geworden, der Scareglow ist ziemlich teuer geworden, der Retro-Scareglow. Gibt es da irgendwie eine Möglichkeit, dass da nochmal Sachen rauskommen?
The question was, is there any chance to re-release figures like Merman or the first Scarecrow or something like that?
Yeah, we talked about doing, like a re-release for some of the older figures, especially because our fan base and the line in and of itself has gone so much bigger, and there's so many more people who are into this line now. Before, it was very slow growth, and so yeah, I think we would love to make some of those figures available again, just in case, like if you came in later, like with He-Man or with Skeletor recently. You're not going to have a chance to get those older ones, right? Unless you go to CopperCon or something like that, and we happen to take, rare, whatever leftover we had in the warehouse type of thing. I would love to do like a Merman, a new Merman, like a Merman Deluxe kind of thing, where he has like this updated stuff and just more armor and more accessories and then with Scareglow, we are going to be releasing the new one in the fall. I mean, not in the fall, but next year with Nightmare. So there will be that version of Scareglow available coming out next year.
Okay. Da hatten wir noch eine Frage. Ja?
Was ist aus dem Beastman geworden?
Ja, Franco, glaube ich, im Mondo übernommen. Da würde ich gerne wissen, was so die größte Veränderung seitdem ist.
Nochmal, ich habe die Frage nicht verstanden.
Wenn ich richtig informiert bin, hat doch Funko Mondo übernommen. Und da wollte ich wissen, was so die größte Veränderung ist in den Produktionsabläufen oder Qualitätsmanagement oder sowas.
The question is, Funko Mondo is a part of the Funko company. So what changes are in the company? Did you have another production, or what was the change?
I mean, you know, so far it's been really helpful for our department, especially to be a part of Funko because of the access that they have to so many licenses, and just being able to just have access to more manufacturers and all that kind of stuff has been a very, very good thing for us. There are many licenses that we just got because of, you know, it takes time. You know, they acquired us last year and we've been working the whole year to see what new licenses we want to acquire, what new things we want to work on, and because we're a part of Funko, it was made a lot easier for us to get our foot in the door to get those new licenses that we've been wanting for so long. So, you know, in the fall, we're going to be making some big announcements with licenses that we have just gotten. I wish I could say one of them because I think, you know, the Motu crowd would be pretty happy with one of them that we just got. But there's a lot of cool stuff that we've never had the chance to really expand into other things other than, you know, Motu. We do Marvel, right? We do Batman animated series, and we do Godzilla. A lot of that, right? But now it's starting, you know, at the end of this year, we're gonna start to make those announcements of all the new stuff that we've gotten, and then next year you're gonna see a lot of those starting to come out.
Okay.
Which is being part of Funko has made it easier for us to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Two last questions. One.
Was ist mit dem Beastman geworden? Beastman sollte ja eigentlich kommen.
So what's with the Beastman?
Oh, yes, Beastman.
What's going on, Beastman?
Yes, Beastman. I realized that he wasn't in the slideshow, but that's because he was in person at PowerCon. Beastman is the release date is end of September. So we will be posting news about it very soon here in the next few weeks, and you'll know. But it'll be a time edition, just like we've been doing with all the major releases for these figures. The main characters, you know, will more than likely be a timed release, so people have the time to be able to get it, and no one's trying to rush, and it doesn't sell out in an hour or something like that. So Beastman will be timed, and it'll be available at the end of the month or beginning of October.
Okay, and the shipping are exactly, for example, is fast like the Panther? So 3 weeks?
No, it'll be a little, it'll be a little sooner, a little later than what Panther is going to be, but it won't be that long in comparison to some of the other figures.
Okay, so last question.
Ja, so wir haben einige Varianten, so wie jetzt die Trapjaw auch, um die Reihe zu schließen mit dem Merman. Hier persönlich ein blauer Merman.
Blauer Merman.
Blauer Merman, ja, mir kommt der Merman halt.
Okay, the question is, could we have a merman, a blue merman like the mini comic version?
Yeah, I would love to do that, and we talked about this. So yes, we will do that, and because and have them say it'll be something that we can say was brought up at Grayskull Con, that we said yes to a blue merman. I'll make it. Yeah, I would love to make a blue merman. That's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. So I think we can say yes for sure that I'm going to do that.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. So time is over, and I would say a big thank you for your time that you have been here at Grayskull 2023. And I will try to switch my MacBook, and I will show you these lucky people here. These faces are absolutely happy. So wait a moment.
Und dann bitte noch mal einen fetten Applaus für die beiden, ja? Did you see them?